What's up, guys? I want to make this quick video about what I've realized is happening behind the scenes. And with behind the scenes, I don't mean the secret master plan of you know what. Although it might be the core you can trace it back to. I'm talking about the energetics behind it. I'm a crazy man. I'm driving right now and not too slow recording this video. But I felt like it. So well, I have my hands focused on driving, but my hands on the I'm focused on driving, but beautiful scenery right now. So it's about the energetics because well, you have probably won't understand this unless you have done at least some amount of spiritual work, but I hope this might help you go further. Now, the energetics behind all this happening right now, and why they had so much influence over humanity, you know who I'm talking about. It's because we let it, but not because we actively chose so to do, but we let it happen in the darkness. It's like a gray area. That's where they always try to operate to push their agenda, because their agenda, well, from one perspective, if you want to go much deeper, these are thoughts from one perspective. Pushed so much into the darkness, they trying to find their way back into light through such mockery and trickery. So because they see no other way, so I don't want to defend them, but that's basically what they're trying to do. Now, then of course some beings became more or less in varying degrees and dimensions embodiments of that, or clusters or archetypes of that energy, of these thoughts and feelings of that darkness, so to speak, which you might say occurred through varying traumas, binding themselves together, or the energy behind it, and the inner child which lost all hope. That's why they hate on exactly they hate on the mirror and the outside world of that much, because they can't fathom to look at their own inner child, so they push everything outside into the external, because they want to be creators and the empowerment of the creator again, and especially work with that fairy energy of creation, which is intrinsically divine. That's why they feel so entitled, because they try and then try to distort it to their liking, because that's the narcissism for you. That's the entitlement. That's the not willing to look at your darkness. That's what happens then, because you separate yourself from yourself, and now you distorted this whole inseparable theme of the love of the creator and his creation, and the divine vortex of creation, the womb, and its beloved creator. So because they don't want to give any power away. They're such control freaks, especially these energies, because these energies feel so out of control. They obviously, and if they want to become the empowerment of the creator again, obviously they become the opposite of that. But because there's such a huge cliff between that, and polarities, everything works through polarity from one perspective, from that perspective. But you can see here that now there must be a very distorted polarity, or the polarity is always trying to balance it out, right? So the polarity and the bad thing is the ignorance, not wanting to look at yourself, notice the divine principle that you create from within, and pushing the ignorance and disempowerment outwardly, but still trying to own that creator power through control. That's obviously what they're doing. So actually, when you look at it from a very objective standpoint, it's a very how do I say this? It's a very curious form of creation. Let's leave it at that, because I absolutely don't want to glorify it. But and obviously it ain't funny for the rest of us, but because they try to, that's why they try to get away from this whole feelings and anyways, because then there might be the chance to be pushed more into a passive receiving kind of state. That's why they only take. It's the hurt in that child, obviously, on a much larger and more extreme state, because with receiving, many of us have problems, but many of us starseeds and way showers try to take it then upon ourselves, and kinda, especially if you're divine masculine and try to figure things out, but you're very spiritual as well, but maybe also feminine, because a lot of divine feminine creators, they did a lot of work here, beautiful spiritual women. We were the ones who tried to overwork ourselves and to rebalance it, which isn't the perfect balance either from one perspective, because then we could be taken from ourselves directly, but at least we were taking it upon ourselves and solely. That's what we try to do. And from one perspective, that's the way we saw the best to counterbalance these energies. But from a 5D perspective and higher, that's not 5D is unity, and you are part of the unity consciousness, or you're not, and that's what you gotta understand. So now the whole point I was trying to make was that how these energies and thoughts or these clusters, you might say of evil, but you only energize that if you think like that, and you're only again in the and it's a valid standpoint from one perspective to stand up and empower your solar chakra and the one of the whole on this journey. It's okay to be divinely fierce and strong. Do no harm, take no shit, kind of like that. So, then there's the unity consciousness. I don't like to throw around a lot of these terms like 5D and shit, because everyone is doing it, but obviously most of us just trying to explain a standpoint. I don't want to throw around only empty words. I really hope this helps somebody. If not, great. we are all on our own journey. Each and every one of us will get there sooner or later. And so the thing is, I saw a great video of someone explaining, about ancestors and 40 and 50. Now what you gotta realize is, I don't want to make this video too long either. What he basically stated, I forgot his name or how you really spell it, but basically he was talking about that, and as I see it, once you fully understand and comprehend that's what I took away, also much other stuff, fully understand the 40 and 50 mechanics on how reality works, you actually understand that there are different levels and rules to this game. Rules, not really rules, but mechanics of how this is working. And if you understand the 40, why do you still need to, think in a 3D way and try to balance these things out through thinking in a 3D way, I gotta rationalize everything, and there's a point for that, but you want to come always from a point of clarity with that, because otherwise there's some manipulation or some agenda pushing in some kind of way. I don't want to push fear in the 40, or somewhere where you're still affected by other energies, to say the least. So it doesn't have to be super negative towards you. From one perspective that is, because these energies they think certain ways to handle things, their way is the best way, even if it's a narcissistic way or where only they benefit. And now we're coming closer to the actual point of this video. Now what the thing is, these energies, they don't think they lie, because in their mind they're just putting out their creation or their game, their master plan. Now I'm speaking on an energetic level. This also mirrors that in the physical, because they just became puppets or embodiments of that. So in their mind, they just pushing their creation or their master plan, and their narcissism, and you are just a fool taking part of it or believing it in the first place. But the reason I say the energetics is because it all starts in the energetical, and that's why nearly almost all of us got influenced in some kind of way, because I don't know if this has a negative connotation, but we're all living under the same sun or something like that. The reason is because we all were born into this matrix system of the planet, and you might even say of the universe. Well, what I like though to always state is that this only worked ever in the first place is because they made us ungrounded, brought us away from nature, and this beautiful, the beautiful original divine blueprint of this planet and its beautiful loving essence, and the purity of it, and what actually the purity of the cosmos is, where we again go back to that they're still trying to deflect their own inner wounded children, so they push it also into the outside as well, that they are so innocent. Well, because the core archetype or innocent inner child we all have within us, or once were. Some parts of us still are, obviously, because we're the all. Okay, we are mirror of each other. We all contain the entire universe within. So we are the creator, the creation, and the child of the cosmos, the beloved child of the cosmos. So they're pushing that all into the open, into the outside. So that's why I once recorded a video. It ain't fun, but at least, you know, at some point they gotta show themselves, because they want to push their stuff into consciousness, into the light, and their energies of the 4D be so low, they need the 3D to come into higher consciousness. But to ascend from one perspective, but it's not the natural ascension, because it's not real unity. But a lot of entitlement, narcissism, a lot of distortion. Now, what you got to realize is, because you all got influenced by it, you might somewhere believe, somewhere in where you might still be unconscious, and it doesn't have to be too much of you being unconscious. Well, it always correlates to some part. Might only be that you're still with some certain people, and so these energies try to influence. They state that it's like they state it energetically, because obviously that's what they wanna create, or what they took upon themselves. Okay, what energies they represent. So from one perspective, they only showing themselves, but because they're pushed in the darkness so much, they, from one perspective, try to manipulate through that. From a high perspective, it may have come to you because you were powerful enough to see that at one point and then reframe it. Okay, because now it was in your vision or feel in some kind of way. Yeah, so they're basically stating that. Now the whole thing is, you might say, but I don't want to look at these energies that way. But the problem is, the more you're fighting it, the more you're still energizing it, because you're saying you're disempowered there. So don't get me wrong. There's you gotta read these energetics and be more look at the subtleties of these things, because there is, like I said, the divine solar empowerment and the divine mighty I am presence, and where you stand strong, and you might see it like you take out your silver sword and fight off these demons, okay? But actually you're fighting off these attachments and lower these ways of these lower densities, and where they still try to play out as that and stick together, and through that only we enforce or we in state, if this is even the word, that they are these energies. But then it all goes back to on some level, especially collectively, that's why that shows up, you might say, for giving away power to them or through their manipulation got on such a not as low level as them. They think they're higher, but they trying to trick them. But they, like I said, they push the darkness further down within themselves and push it, then try to push it outward. And so they try. That's why they try to lower the collective and get the energy from there. It's a tricky thing. And so now, but that's where the whole collective mechanics come in. When the collective is letting that happen, the collective is letting it happen. They're just playing out their game. So then you might say, standing up anyways, but then trying to fight off these energies, be more empowering, because at least you're more aware of it and try to take action. And this is the case. But then it all correlates to how you can go higher and affect more people in a more uplifting way, even more, with embodying higher energies and more empowering ones. Yeah, that's how I understand it. So the basic is for you just to realize that it's all about the awareness, what the fuck is actually going on within yourself, and thus within the collective as well. Yeah, I hope this helped, guys. I talked a bit too much. Maybe, well, I was just expressing it. Guys, highest vibes to you, my friends. May you blossom in the highest divine embodiment that you are, for the highest good of all. Peace and blessings.